Um, well, I'm not saying I would necessarily give this an overall positive review, but what I'm saying is that when we first saw this in the news, we we all thought that it was just gonna be absolute just dumpster fire. What the heck is this premise? This is the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my life, kind of business, right?
I still do, to be
But
fair.
yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't
but when
sound
I
like we
heard
were off the mark from what Toast is telling us and
well,
his
what
own
I'm saying is
reaction.
that what from what I'm hearing about Toast in terms of his powers, at least it makes slightly more sense or is slightly less cheesy than him just having talking and persuasion skills. Because what I thought it would have been was he just has pure persuasion 100 and he just uses that to do stupid stuff. And maybe he has like the mind control stuff. But he actually is a more standard bardic set of skills, which makes more sense than him being like, I talk very good. I persuade people very well. It's like, which would be very just, especially in a world filled full of supernatural powers. It just seems like a very cheesy thing to do. It seems way too power. It seems honestly more power fantasy and cheesy and self insert than him just being like, "Yeah, I have bardic skills. I can power people up and stuff occasionally." So I think this is a slightly more quote unquote boring setup, so to say. But I think it's better than him legit being the "Yeah, I talk very good" kind of setup, in my opinion.
Are you
So
sure about that, Spire? Because remember, Talker is
I'm
the
pretty
weakest
sure.
class, but since wants to become the strongest
Yeah,
seeker,
but it's
but
really
the
They're
it's
always
like one of those
they're
series where it's
always the
like
weakest class, where it's like the weakest class is able to annihilate literally anything in its path by blinking.
yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
what does the strongest class do then? Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, because it's like the honestly, when an isekai series has one of those premises where it's just honestly, if the premise was just him having persuasion 100 and him doing all these cheesy, yeah, I I I convince people real well kind of business, it would be somewhat similar, in my opinion, to the structures of one of those farming isekai where where the main character just takes his regular farming powers and he like starts beating up on people, and it would be kind of like that, which I don't really like, because essentially what the author is doing in that situation is just trying to quote unquote make a unique premise by making a super whack weak power, but then with that weak power the author tries to unreasonably force it upon a very standard high fantasy, power fantasy setting, just with those skills being used in wanton, silly ways, right? So I actually don't like that as much as I do just a standard setup where it makes sense that this much power can be used in these ways in this like D&D kind of dungeon crawler setting. I don't like those premises where the character's like, "Yeah, my power is making snails appear out of thin air," and then he has to go and do all these isekai adventures just as if he was a regular human being. I'm not a huge fan of honestly how that plays out or has played out in various isekai anime series.
That would be a
So
pretty awesome power, though. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, it'd be like what it's Tsunade in
Yeah, but
Naruto, right? The with the
Yeah,
snail, yeah.
true.
they would just be like, but also if the snail touches anyone, they die.
Yeah,
I
dude,
mean,
Yeah,
it's like
or
yeah, it's
the
like the
immortal
hypothetical,
snail.
the immortal
Yeah,
snail that's
dude.
yeah,
always following you, and if it
yeah,
touches you,
no,
you die.
or it's like one of those it's like the slime isekai series, not the slime tensei stuff, but the one where it's like slime tamer. But it's like the snail grows bigger and bigger and bigger with every level of,
Dude, that'd be
and
sick.
eventually you just have like a steady size snail.
That'd be kind of fire, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think honestly, from what Toast has been telling me, I'm not saying this is wow, this is the best thing. I think this is a better premise right now, from what I'm hearing, than what we imagined from the initial announcement. Is how